Greetings, YouTube. Happy Thursday. I am so excited to bring you this video because I could not be more impressed with Kabam's special 5-star crystals that they're going to roll out in the next month as part of the Infinity War monthly quest. But before I begin, I realize this is a really jank thing to look at because we're just looking at screenshots. I apologize. I was trying to figure out an efficient way to talk about each one of these crystals without doing a 30-minute long video. And so really just going through these lists like this with screenshots is the best way I can think of. It's not going to be the most compelling video you've ever seen, but hopefully my audio makes up for that. I also want to do a couple of baseline points before I get into this. The first is I'm going to assume, for the sake of argument with each of these crystals, that you don't already have these champions, because obviously there can be great God tier champs in these crystals. But if you have the God tier champs already, you're going to go for the other crystals. And then I'm also going to make it easy by splitting up my feedback into 3 distinct categories. Is it a champ you're really excited to get right off the top, unawakened? Or is it a champion they're going to be like, okay, they're fine, they're okay? Or is it a trash can, curse the Kabam gods, have to get up and walk your dog in order to feel better about your life kind of champ? And so those are the 3 categories. I could make 4, I could make 5, I could make 6, but the video would be really, really long. So we're just going to do 3 categories to make sure I can get as much information as possible and not waste too much of your time while doing it. So the first crystal we're going to talk about is the Chaos Crystal. Now keep in mind there's 10 champs per crystal for a 10% drop rate, which is really high considering the featured champ drop rate currently is 4.2%. So this is more than double the drop rate of a featured champ. Again, thank you, Kabam. Great job on these crystals. So how fitting that we're going to talk about some trash can champs, because we're going to start off with Kamala Khan, Satan herself, trash can. Then we're going to go down to Rhino, trash can. And then we're going to talk about Miles Morales. So I also think, even though he's probably better than those 2, still trash can. So we've got 3 trash cans off the top, and I'm going to add a 4th because I think Iron Fist Unawakened is nothing to be excited about. So you have a 40% chance in the Chaos Crystal to cause chaos to your emotions by getting depression. And then after that category, we've got the middle tier, the people that you're like, okay, I'm fine with that. Why not? Nightcrawler, Drax, and Guillotine, in my book, all fall on that list. Champions that aren't going to be the greatest champions in the world, but they're also not going to be the worst. They're just going to be, pretty good. And then what are the top tier, thirsty, really, really want to open? Of course, Star-Lord is going to be the top of the top for that. Unawakened, not the best champion, but you still have the promise to get that Tech Awakening gem, or certainly a duplicate, and suddenly you've got one of the top 5 best damage champions in the game by far. And then X-23, really a top-tier demigod champion that's going to cause some fantastic bleed damage and crit abilities, even if the opponent is not susceptible to bleed. So 1 to a 10, 10 being best crystal value you've ever seen, 1 being it might as well be Old Balls Logan wrapped into a crystal times 10. I'm going to give this a solid 6. It's not the greatest, but it's not the worst. I think it's a fair value for your 27,000 Dark Artifact shards. Now we're going to go straight on to the bottom second crystal, and that is the Nightmare Crystal. And the first 3 champs would give me a nightmare if I opened them, because I would not be excited at all. Falcon, trash. Phoenix, trash. Although Phoenix does have a great prestige, especially Awakened. So if you wanted to rank up a champion based solely off prestige, that's the argument for Phoenix. Ant-Man, mega, super, trash. I don't understand why this champ sucks so badly in the game. He's really cool in the Marvel Universe. Come on, Kabam. Then we have Civil Warrior. For the sake of argument, I'm going to keep him in the trash tier, even though I love his special 2 as a power drain option. I think there are much better power drain champs out there. And so Civil Warrior, trash. Now Thor Jane Foster, I refuse to put in the trash can because she's one of the best options against Sentinels. Very underrated shock and stun ability. So even if you don't like Thor Jane Foster, I'm keeping her there. And then you've also got Cyclops Unawakened, trash. And Moon Knight, I'm not going to be excited about either, trash. So holy cow. Moon Knight, Cyclops, Civil Warrior, Ant-Man, Phoenix, and Falcon. 60% of the champs in this crystal are trash. So why would you spend your 27,000 shards? Well, it's got a couple of upper tier game-changing champs. The best power drain champ in the game, God tier Magic, Angela, who hits like a truck, And Ultron, if you don't have a immunity or double immunity champ, it's to both bleed and poison, so you're going to be very happy to rank up Ultron. Of course, you also got some regen and the ability to make the opponent bleed. I like Ultron, even though I don't really use him that much anymore, except for Alliance War Defense. So really, when you break this one down, I think it's the worst crystal of the 6. The value is at like a 3, maybe a 4, but not something that I would recommend, and hopefully you're watching this and you agree. Now, the third crystal is called the Genesis, which is kind of ironic because Genesis is actually the word for first, and we're reviewing this third. We're starting with a trash can champion in the Hulkbuster, another champ that really needs a buff. And then we're going down to Beast. I've never gotten excited about opening Beast, even though some people love him. I'm sticking him in the trash. Daredevil Netflix, like a lot of bad Netflix shows, trash. Unawakened Juggernaut, trash. Magneto, pretty good against Sentinels, but I hate using him, so I'm going to say trash. So, right there, Hulkbuster, Beast, Daredevil, Netflix, Juggernaut, Magneto, half the champs, trash. Now, the middle tier, people that'd be like, okay, I don't mind it. Captain America, because of block proficiency, and I know a lot of newer players that open a Captain America and beat a lot of content saving potions and revives because of that block proficiency. Yellowjacket is the upper end of that middle tier. Awakened, I think she could even be very, very low-end demigod tier, given the ability to either make the power sting, lose health, or stun. I really love my Yellowjacket. And then Captain Marvel, though Unawakened is not the strongest, is fantastic when awakened, hits like a truck, poison immune. If you don't have any poison immune champs and you're fighting Alliance Quest poison path, Captain Marvel, underrated. And she's getting a buff to make her special 2 last longer this month. Hooray. And then lastly, the top 2 champs in this category, Ghost Rider, you pair him with the Blade synergy, and he's like the opposite of Nicolas Cage's acting career as Ghost Rider. Amazing success. And then Gwenpool, incredible, top female god tier champion, arguably. I think that if you don't have a Gwenpool, you'll want to go for her. I already have Gwenpool, so I wouldn't be going for this. But again, for the sake of argument, you don't have these champs. I'm going to give this as a slightly better value than the Nightmare, but still not the top choice. I'm going to give this a 5 out of 10. It is just straight average. So we've completed the first 3. Let's move on and not waste any time as we go to the 4th out of 6 in the Evolution Crystal. I think it's aptly named because evolution implies progress, and there's a lot of progress with this crystal. Now, the Trash Can Champs, another Cyclops, Unawakened, trash. Then we've got Iron Patriot and Karnak, trash. Now, Karnak is better than Iron Patriot, especially given the Medusa synergy, but I have Karnak. I don't like using him. Special 1 is absolute garbage. Now, the middle tier, this might surprise some people, but I know some people, especially in one of my first alliances, that absolutely wrecked with Winter Soldier. I think Winter Soldier is slightly underrated. I'm going to stick him in that middle tier. Spider-Man Symbiote, one of my favorite champs, actually got me into MCOC originally, and this champion, when you parry and then heavy attack, you can stack the armor breaks for days, guaranteed crit on the special 2, belongs in that middle. Gambit, I also sometimes will use to spam the special 1 with stun. If you haven't done that before, it's pretty fun. Even though Gambit's my favorite X-Men and they did him dirty by not making him better, I'll still stick him in that middle. And then the upper tier, we actually have quite a few choices, and that's why this crystal is so exciting. Red Hulk after the buff, demigod tier, fantastic choice. Nebula, arguably the top option against Sentinels besides Medusa with Shock. Such a fantastic option. I think anybody would be excited to get Nebula, or should be excited to get Nebula. There's my boo, Quake, someone that literally shakes up the contest with incredible utility, god tier level utility in my book. And then Dr. Voodoo, probably the second best power gain champ in the game. Incredible regen, especially when awakened. A huge fan of Dr. Voodoo. I think this crystal holds the best value so far of the 4 we've talked about. I'm going to give this a 7 out of 10 in value, maybe even a 7.5. Now, the War Crystal below it is kind of fascinating for a couple of reasons. I'll explain. Let's start with the garbage. Groot, a champ that I hate playing with in the arena. Groot is terrible. She-Hulk or Fiona Shrek herself, also someone that I would never get excited about. And then, if you've watched my channel by now, you know my luck with Old Balls Logan. Better chance to get a prostate exam than defeat a opponent. Those are the 3 trash can. Then you've got the middle tier. I think Elektra belongs in that. Rocket Raccoon as well, basically the human/animal glass cannon. And the hood came out, and some people said he was demigod at first, and I think he's really cool animations and fun to play, but I don't think he's really held up in that argument, even for Alliance War Defense. I'll stick him in that middle tier. And then you have kind of low-end, middle tier, or I guess I should say high-end, middle tier, low-end, upper tier. Agent Venom with the ability to have tenacity and shake off debuffs. I think you should be excited to get an Agent Venom 5-star. Same with Rogue. Very high-end demigod tier. Special 1, Special 2, you got the power drain, you got the health steal. Luke Cage, buff, just like Red Hulk. Really excited. I've seen people destroy an Alliance War as attackers with Luke Cage. Also can be a very difficult opponent, especially as a 6-star to beat on the defense in Alliance War. And then there's that top option, Hyperion, who's also featured in the arena this week. Hyperion is a fantastic champion. Very much a god tier champ. Gains that power gain. Can stack the Furies. Love Hyperion. So this, I think, I would put at just under the value of the Evolution Crystal for what I would consider to be something you'd be excited about. Still a 6.5 to a 7 value. Easily can understand why you'd want to spend your 27,000 shards on the War Crystal. And then lastly, the Death Crystal. A fascinating crystal. And I think this one... Oh, sorry about that. I think this one you can make arguments for in several cases. This one probably could be debated more than anything else. Iron Man, trash. Howard the Duck, I love Howard the Duck. I love his special too. I'm like the only person on YouTube that apparently loves Howard the Duck. But most people say he's trash, so I'm going to say he's stuck in the trash. And then Black Panther Civil War. Decent defender in Alliance War, but that's about it. I'm going to keep Black Panther Civil War in the trash as well. Now, the middle tier, Spider-Man Classic can be a fantastic attacker, but when duped, the evade kind of throws you off with parries and just makes for a Alliance War defender. I'll stick him in the middle. Loki as well. A lot of people disrespect Loki, but I think Loki's very underrated, especially when you consider the buff steal on the Special 1, the unblockable Special 2, and lastly, if you can master that Special 3, it's actually maybe the top option against the final Ultron in Act 5, Chapter 4. So, yeah, good for Loki. Mordo, middle tier as well. Not somebody that I would get super excited about, but I think it's a decent miss. And then we've got Crossbones, who I think belongs in someone to get excited about, kind of like Rogue and Agent Venom, that lower end of the demigod tier. Cable, maybe in the middle, but I'll say really, really low end excited about, because there are a lot of people who, before Iceman and Archangel, he was like the mutant to get excited about. A lot of people went for his 15K featured, so I think he's somebody that you can get decently excited about. And then last but not least, the reason why you would buy this, Archangel. Undisputed God tier champ. You add awakened ability with neurotoxin, but not even to before that to stack bleeds, to stack poisons. Death Crystal, though, I think could easily be the death to your happiness for the day with all the misses that you could get. So I'm going to put this down to a 6. So in review, the top crystals that I would recommend, the Evolution Crystal and the War Crystal are certainly 2 of the 3. And then the Genesis Crystal as well gives you the best value. The crystals that I would stay away from overall, certainly the Death Crystal is not something I'd be excited about. The Chaos Crystal, overall not really either. And then the Nightmare Crystal. So I don't think they have an equal value, but again, this is going to depend on who you have yourself and what you're looking for. But I hope this video has been helpful. My goal was to keep this video under 15 minutes, and right now my screen tells me I am just under 14 minutes, so I'm going to wrap this up and just say thanks for watching. I hope this helps. Sorry again, I was just flipping through screenshots, but I wanted to have the most efficient way to talk about these names and break them down without prolonging and making the video longer. So I hope you understand. And thanks as always for supporting my channel. I want to help you figure out who to rank up and who to go for. And this is one of those videos that I hope just accomplishes that goal. Good luck with everything in the game. I'm really excited about all the content in the next month. And as always, thank you for continuing to support my channel. It really, really means a lot to me. Have a great Thursday night, everyone.